Hi, it's Emma, and I'm just going to do a very rough and ready introduction to Affinity Publisher and explain why I like using this and how the very basics of how to use it. So, when you first open Affinity Publisher, there is a lot of stuff going on all around you in these areas here, which can look very intimidating, but just ignore it because most of it you are not going to use or not going to need to use. And as you become more comfortable with the program, obviously you can dive into those things. I'm not going to cover anything other than setting up pages and putting in text and putting in pictures and cards because that is just the pure basics. So the first thing you'd want to do is to open a new file. So I'm just going to click on File, and then you've got all these different paper sizes, or you can just make your own size. So just for ease, I'm just going to click on A4 here, and then we've got Layout. So it tells you how big the paper is. Now, because most of the project life, if not all of the project life type supplies, come in inches, I'm going to change my document measurement things into inches, and this just makes it easy when I'm trying to make a box to put a card in. You'll see that in a minute. Then I've got how many pages I want. Now you can make as many as you want. I'm just gonna leave it on 8 to make it more easy to see all on the screen. The color, you can have a transparent background, and these little black and white squares mean that it's just nothing, or if you tick this off it will be white. I like to have a transparent background, and the reason for that is if I am putting a card which is white onto the background, I can't see where the edge of the card is if the background is white. So it doesn't make any difference when you finally print your project out because obviously printers do not print white, but I like to have transparent. Margins, you can put margins on. I tend to not, most of the time, not use margins. So there are instances where they're very useful, but for what we're demonstrating today, I'm just going to click them off. And then bleed. This is where you would, if you had an image and you wanted it to be full page and you're sending it to a printer, it gives you a little margin around the outside that you need to extend your image into so that when the printer gets it, it will not be cut off. Won't get into it today. It's not necessary for what I'm demonstrating. So once you've got everything set up as you like, you just click Create. So you can see we've got all of our pages 1 to 8. And because, I'm just going to zoom out a bit, because they are like facing pages as they would be if you were creating a book, this kind of layout with the facing pages is really useful because say, for example, you wanted to put a full page photo across the whole page, you can see it and how it's going to look. Or if you're doing a project life spread where you're going to have 2 pages facing each other, you can see your spread across the 2 pages. So you can see how they kind of gel together. So this is where I always start. So to put images or cards in, over here there's this little box, a rectangular one which says picture frame and a circular one which says ellipse, but either one will work perfectly fine. I'll demonstrate both. So if you click on the rectangle one, take your mouse to where you want your picture to be, hold down the right or the left mouse and then drag. You're going to get this box with an X in it, and then I'll do a circle one just for the fun. So you can see we've got these 2 boxes. So if I go over to where I keep my photos, and I'll just grab a photo. Just drop, and all you do is grab it, drop it in, and then it just fits in the box whatever size you've made it. Down at the bottom, we've got this horizontal line or vertical, can't always get those 2 mixed up, and a little dot in the middle. You'd click and hold, and then you can make your picture smaller, or you can zoom right in. And then if you hover over the picture, you'll see that you get this little circle with arrows, and you can just drag it. So I can drag it down to the side, and everything that you can see very brightly is actually the picture, and you can see there's like this sort of slightly faded area, and that's what's not going to be included in your frame. So you can just move it and drop it around wherever you want. Let's do that one. And then you can take your frame as well, and you can make it bigger, or you could make it smaller. You could manipulate it this way or manipulate it this way. And what's really good about these picture frames, if I go this way for a second, you can see that now my picture does not fill my entire frame. So I can just make this bigger, move it down, and now it does. So it's really easy to move and manipulate your photos, and your photos stay proportional so they don't start becoming all stretched and weird shapes. So let's just pop that over there. And then the same with the circle one. So if I just go back over to where I keep my photos, this is my little doggy, and I'll drop her in there, and then Control Z if you do anything wrong. This little arrow allows you to move things around. And if I just move that again, you can see I can just move this picture around inside, make that bigger so it fills the whole frame. So easy to do. So let's just say you've got cards, project life-size cards, and you want to drop those into a frame. You can, to be fair, you can just go back into where you keep them. Let's go into mine, and let's just find some 6x4 and 3x4 cards. You can just, wherever you keep your cards, whether it's in a file structure or I use Eagle, you can just grab it and then just drop it in, and it's there. And you can make them bigger or smaller. If they're not in a picture frame though, one word of warning is if you drag it like this, it's going to distort it. So just be mindful of that. Or you can make, I'm just going to put this to the side, let's make a 3x4 photo frame. And I'll do that by going down to the side here. I'm going to click on 3 to make it 3 inches, and this one to make it 4 inches. So this is now 3x4. And if I go back into here and grab this same image again and drop it in there, now it's 3x4. And if I wanted to make it bigger, I can, but obviously the picture frame changes the shape of it. So you can use either one. Either one is fine, and you can just resize it down here if you wanted to. The same again, if you want to put a 6x4 card in, and let's just grab one. I love this picture. Drop it in, and then you've got your 6x4, and then you can, as long as you drag with this corner here, it will stay proportional. But you always have the option of doing it inside a picture frame like you do these. Whatever works easiest for you. Now to add text, you'll see over here, there's a box with a T in it. So you would just click on that. Again, just put your box wherever you want it, and then just type away your text. And then to change your text, I think you just have the whole box highlighted, and then up here is your text box. And then you would just choose the type of font you want. Let's just make this bigger so we can see what's going on. No, you do have to highlight the text. So highlight the text. I just did Command A. It will be different on a Windows machine. I'm going to choose a font. I'll make it bigger so you can see it. So it's very easy to make a text box, and then you can just make it bigger or smaller. You can change the shape of it to fit into your design wherever you want it. Like very, very simple to do. Very, very simple. So let's move it up one tiny little stage. If you like to just drop things in all of the time and you don't want to think about where things are going to live, I'm just going to click on this little arrow up here, the move tool, so we can get rid of anything like anything we might have clicked on here. Then another thing you can do is you can set up master pages. So up here it says master pages, and there's a little button here with a little rectangle with a square, and click on add master, and then give it a name. So let's call it layout 1, and then click OK. And this is going to create an exact same layout, 2 pages, the same as down here. So what I can do in here is I can make some boxes. So say I always like to have a layout that is one big picture and then maybe three like this. And I'm just doing this really quickly, so it's not going to be well proportioned. And then on the other side, I always like to have a really big picture. So say that's the layout that I like. And then I can create another one. So let's call this, you can create as many as you like, but I'm just going to do two. So I've got another one. Let's say on this one, I always like to have like a couple of skinny photos and then some ones that just look, honestly, you just make these whatever size you like. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes so you can see how easy it is to use. So I'm just making all of these boxes and you'll see that there's these green lines that are appearing. This is so that it makes it very easy for you to line things up. So you don't have to guess where things are. So I've now got these two separate layouts, layout 1 and layout 2. So if I click into here, I'm just going to make it smaller. And you can see I've selected page 4, but if I want to select both pages, if I hold down my command key, and I think that might be control or something on Windows, now I've got both pages selected. I right click and then I can say apply master. And I'm going to just say, I'm going to choose layout 1. I can see it there to remind myself what it is and click OK. And it's going to put all of those boxes in for us. So if there is a way that you like to work, a setup that you like to work, you can set it up and you don't have to put the boxes in every time. Also, if I go back into layout 2, let's just say, I'm just going to delete this one. Let's just say I always like to have a text box there. I can grab this text box and I can just drag that in like this. And now this will always be a text box. So let's just go back to our pages here. I'm going to select both of them and then apply master. I'm going to choose layout 2 and there's my layout with all of my boxes in it, and this is my text box. So every time, to save time, you can set these up and then you can just drag everything in it the way that I showed you how to drag all of this stuff in. So it's so easy to use, and you can save this as a PDF and send it to a printer. You can just print it out direct to your printer. I love it. It takes a lot of the thought process away when you're setting up these templates. So as I said, very rough, very ready. There's obviously a lot more to Affinity Publisher than this, but for the very basics, this will do you fine. So I hope that was useful for you. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And let me know if you are confused, if I didn't cover something. Always happy to help a fellow memory keeper.